Hello everyone, welcome welcome back to my channel. My name is Hannah if you're new here. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the 5 best 2024 releases that I've read so far in 2024. So far in 2024, I have read 20 brand new releases in 2024, which is kind of a lot. I thought I was a little bit better about reading backlist titles, but goal for next year, I guess. And of those 20 books, I have given 5 of those 20 full 5 stars. And we're gonna talk about them today. If you're new to my channel, again, hi, I'm Hannah, and I primarily read fantasy, epic high fantasy, romance, sprinkling in of other genres as well, a sci-fi, a horror, sometimes thrillers, just to spice things up. I'm a variety reader. The first book I'm going to be talking about is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. This is about Emma and Justin who meet through a Reddit thread and decide to fake date for the summer, but Justin is dealing with becoming the primary caregiver for his 3 younger siblings as his mom is going to prison, and Emma is dealing with some emotional trauma from her childhood having to do with her mother abandoning her frequently all the time and then showing up into her life and kind of wrecking things and then leaving again. So these 2 people decide to fake date, and it's a really great love story. Emma has so much work to do, and Justin is just a big old sweetie, and they take care of each other, and Emma starts to grow fond of the children, that the younger siblings that Justin is in charge of. But this deals with some pretty heavy themes. Each of the individual main characters goes on a solo journey as well as a couple journey in their character arcs, which I really appreciated. I would check the trigger warnings for this one. Heavy on the childhood trauma and abandonment, but if you can handle the subject matter, I think this is one of the best romances of the year that I've read. This is one I continue to reread since I read it earlier in 2024. Then we have a book that I love very deeply in my soul and my heart of hearts, but I understand why others may not love it like I do, and that book is The Pairing by Casey McQuiston. This is about Kit and Theo, who were childhood friends turned lovers turned exes, and at the start of the story they end up booking the same vacation, which is a food tour through Europe, and they rekindle their romance, well, their friendship and then their romance. So this is a second chance friends to lovers type story, and this is truly a bacchanalian tale. There is a lot of sex, there is a lot of overindulgence in food. Even the descriptions are indulgent in the way that they describe everything that's going on. And the dedication to this book is, this one's for the sluts. So if that gives you an idea of the contents of this book, then I don't know what does. But it truly is that. It's promiscuous. This is also a trans love story. I adore this book. The way that Kit sees Theo and the way that Theo sees Kit makes me love each of their characters so much. And this is dual perspective. Half of the book is told, like the first half is told from Theo's perspective and the second half is told from Kit's perspective, which I think, of all the adult work by Casey McQuiston, this is the first time it's dual perspective, which I love. It made me love Theo more because I got to see them through Kit's eyes. This one made me weep with how beautiful the description and the love was, and truly second chance excellence here. I'm not really a big second chance romance reader, and I love this one. So if you think you would enjoy a slutty good time as well as a deeply impactful romance, I highly recommend The Pairing. Otherwise, don't say anything bad about it to me because I love it. I also have a huge vlog up on my channel for this book where you can see me cry on screen as I'm reading through it, and my live reaction as I go through the book. I'll have that linked for you to explore further thoughts and feelings of mine. Kind of a curveball release. You wouldn't really expect that I'd love this, but I do, and that is The Last Murder at the End of the World by Stuart Turton. This is a sci-fi murder mystery. Hannah, you don't read murder mysteries. I typically don't, and maybe that's why I loved it. This is a story about the remnants of humanity who live on a tiny, tiny little island, and the entire world, rest of the world, is engulfed in this deadly fog. And the fog, and so it's about these, people trying to survive and make a living for themselves, and also what happens when the fog starts encroaching and a murder happens. This is a countdown story, so you get like 3 days until the end of the world, 2 days until the end of the world, so that builds great tension. The narrator of this story is kind of an AI sort of embedded being that lives in everybody's heads. So this is multi-POV told from that interesting like AI character. So I thought the storytelling device of that was really, really good because we got to see into so many people's heads. And I thought the murder mystery was excellent. As someone who doesn't read a lot of murder mysteries, I thought this was great. And the fact this has had so many sci-fi elements that I typically enjoy exploring just kind of capped it all off for me. I think this is an excellent pickup, but I'm not the biggest murder mystery person, so if you're a connoisseur of murder mystery, you might not, but for a beginner, I thought this was excellent. And just look at the sprayed edges, and I'm a big fan of this cover. I'm cheating ever so slightly with my own premise because I'm going to hold up The Trials of Empire by Richard Swan, which is the third book in the Empire of the Wolf trilogy. The first one is The Justice of Kings, and transparently, I gave The Trials of Empire 4 out of 5 stars. But the reason I want to talk about it is because I think this series is so good overall. Book 1, I gave 5 stars. Book 2, I think I gave 4.5 out of 5 stars, and then Trials of Empire was a 4-star read. And I have a whole review up, again, talking about this book and this series, and I truly think this is an excellent conclusion. There were a couple of elements that didn't quite land, didn't quite work, weren't fully fleshed out for me and my personal taste, but I just wanted to shout out this series and recommend it to you all because I really, really think it's worth the pickup. The first book, The Justice of Kings, is about Sir Conrad von Volt, and he is like a fantasy lawyer with a sword. He is justice, jury, and executioner in one, and so he travels around the kingdom dispensing justice. And this is told from the perspective of his clerk, Helena, and she's kind of an apprentice justice. And this is incredibly political. And Richard Swan is actually a lawyer in real life. I found the law and the philosophy of law a really well fleshed out and well developed piece of this trilogy. I love Helena as our vessel for reading this story, telling this story. Sir Conrad is so interesting and dynamic, and we explore some really dark things. This is a very gory series. It's pretty violent. It's almost leaning towards fantasy horror, especially in this third and final installment, but I can't say enough good things about this. Check out my review for the whole series if you would like to, but I had to sing Trials of Empire's accolades, even though it wasn't the perfect book for me. It's still a great series. The last book I'm going to talk about, my most favorite, I'm looking at my stack. I think this is, it's hard to say, but the last 5-star 2024 release I have to talk about is not The Shadow of the Gods, but The Fury of the Gods by John Gwynne. I'll hold up the first book over here. So The Fury of the Gods is the third and final book in the Bloodsworn Saga trilogy, the first book being The Shadow of the Gods, and I just finished reading Fury, and it's fantasy excellence, it's fantasy perfection, it's the perfect way to end this story, and it was executed perfectly. Everything was perfect. I loved it, I loved it, I loved it. Let me tell you what this series is about. In the Shadow of the Gods, we're following 3 primary points of view, although we do get additional points of view later in the series. We're following Orca, who is on a quest seeking revenge, as well as her kidnapped son. She is a muscle mommy, and I love her forever. We also following Varg, who is an recently escaped slave who joins a mercenary band called the Bloodsworn, hence the title of the series. And then we're also following Elvar, who is part of a different mercenary band, but she is also the daughter of a jarl of this land, and she's basically trying to win respect for herself. And this is a Norse-inspired epic high fantasy series. There's magic woven through here. The world is so cold and frigid and very Scandinavian inspired, and I just ate up this whole series. Shadow of the Gods, I read Shadow of the Gods, and I thought to myself, John Gwynne is my new favorite author after only reading 1 book. Then I read his entire Faithful and the Fallen quartet, and then the Of Blood and Bone series spin-off trilogy that comes after it, and I can firmly say that yes, he is indeed a new favorite author, but I had that feeling from book 1 of this series. I gave Shadow of the Gods 5 stars. The Hunger of the Gods, which is the second book, I think I also gave 5 stars, and then Fury of the Gods is another 5-star read. This is a 5-star series. Every book is an absolute banger. I just adore John Gwynne's world building. There's like no violence towards women. And if there is, it's off page and it's handled delicately and with care. And I just really, really appreciate that so much as an epic high fantasy reader. That's hard to find. And so I cannot sing enough good praises about this series, and I hope you pick up this series if it interests you. Those are my top 5 2024 releases, the releases that I think are worth your time. What is your favorite 2024 release? I would love to know in the comments down below, because obviously I only read 20 I only read 20, but I would love some recommendations down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in another video of mine very soon.